So I want to welcome everyone today to Finding Calm Within the Corona. I'm really grateful to be here with you, and I'm really grateful that we're all here with each other, today. And this is an unprecedented time, I think, for all of us. I don't think anyone, I know we've had cataclysmic events before, and there's something very different about this experience when we're going through something that's globally felt at the deepest levels, and we're all feeling the impact of that at the same time. So I felt called to do this workshop and event, and create a healing space for all of us to gather and drop in, to be seen and witnessed in our fullness, and to be welcomed in whatever our authentic experience is, and also have a deeper understanding of what happens when we're collectively moving through something together, and simultaneously cultivate some resources and maybe even some suggestions. I have some suggestions that I'd like to share with you all about self-resourcing practices. And I would say that anyone that does know how to meditate or know how to work with trauma and crisis, or to be a calming, grounding presence, this is a time to step up. And I'd invite other people that are called to hold space like this in your community or online, which is, we have accessibility to that right now to do that, because we need spaces where other people feel safe and can be invited to feel seen in all that they're experiencing, and not made to feel like any part of their experience is wrong. Because when we're processing so much all the time, and especially in moments when there's a pandemic or something cataclysmic going on, it can be really challenging, and it can feel really isolating and confusing, and it can bring up a lot just in terms of, well, what's my experience and what's true for me and what's true for everyone else, and how am I supposed to feel about this? And I know I've been going through my own full range of emotions and experiences with this entire thing, and feeling the intensity of how challenging it is to stay grounded even with years of practice in internal resourcing and grounding. And so I just want to normalize it. Like, it's really hard right now to stay grounded. It's really hard right now to stay connected to ourselves when there's fear proliferating everywhere, and when anxiety is at its all-time high. So today I'd like to go into some exercises that I think can be really powerful for nervous system resourcing, and talk a little bit about what's happening globally in the collective nervous system, and then have time for group discussion and questions, and really create an invitation for anyone to share what's on their hearts, and have a safe space to feel fully seen and welcome in your experience and all that you are and all that you bring to the table right here and right now. So I'd love to start us off, because I was just doing some, meditation work so that I could be grounded and show up in presence with you here too. But I'd love to start out with a somatic-based grounding meditation that will support us all in rooting in with our own field and our own experience, and also create a greater field of unity and coherence, at the same time, so that we can all be in this safe, sacred space together. So I would invite you to find a comfortable position and a seated posture that you're going to feel comfortable in. This is just going to be a few minutes at first. Some of the other exercises we're going to do will be a little bit longer, but yeah, going and getting into a seated position that feels good for you, and finding the posture of support that feels best for you in this moment. And then I'm just gonna check to see, I'm hearing with a little bit of background noise. All right, great. So I just want everyone to feel what it's like to begin to turn inward towards your inner experience in this moment, in this here and now moment. Just noticing what it's like to start moving awareness to be with yourself. And just noticing in this moment what it feels to start to make contact with your breath in this moment without needing to do anything to fix or change your experience or even your breath in this moment. Just noticing exactly where you are right now. Noticing if you're moving or breathing fast or slow or somewhere in between. And allowing yourself to begin to bring your awareness to any sensations that might be arising in your present moment experience right now. Allowing your awareness to expand to any physical body sensations that you're having. Any areas of tightness or tension, or places that might even feel relaxed in this moment. And allowing yourself to, allow your gaze to begin to drop or your eyes completely flutter shut if that feels good for you at this point. Allowing yourself to come into a deeper, more internal space of connection with yourself. Noticing what it's like as you move your awareness back into synergy with your breath, your inhale and your exhale here. Allowing your awareness to include any of your loudest physical sensations and any thoughts or feelings that might be arising in the periphery of your consciousness. Seeing how much of yourself in this moment you can welcome here in this here and now moment. How much permission can you give yourself to show up and welcome all that you are? That might include fears, bodily tension, anxiety, excitement, sadness, grief. And what is it like to give yourself permission to not fix or change anything that's here? To allow everything to actually be okay. Like, this is completely okay, this experience that I'm having. Not resisting it all, but in the actual full welcoming of it. And noticing just what it's like to be with yourself in this place, in this space of self-connection, in this space of not needing to do anything and just showing up exactly as you are. Noticing if anything fixes or changes in your experience in this welcoming of all that you are. And noticing if you can really connect with the essence that is you, that almost felt sense in that vibration of your own energy and essence that's here. Seeing if you can distinguish your own energy outside of anything else that's happening. And allowing yourself in this moment to connect with whatever your intention is for being here right now. Connecting with whatever initially drew you or attracted you to be here at 11 a.m. Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are, and what you most would like to receive from yourself and from our time together today. And then in your own space and time, at the exact pace that feels good for you, allowing yourself to come back into intimacy with this present moment, this here and now moment that we're sharing here all together. Allowing yourself to start creating movement and finding movement in your body once again. Finding the rhythm of your breath here. And I even want to just invite you in this moment to begin to move your body in any ways that actually feel good for it in this moment. This is something that really helps me to actually regulate my own energy, finding movement. We often feel stressed out and anxious and overwhelmed when energy gets stuck in our nervous system and bodies, and finding movement, even subtle movements, because I actually haven't been able to move a lot lately, can really help in that nervous system regulation. And just notice what it's like to give yourself this, permission to move in whatever ways feel best for you. And just noticing if anything has shifted or changed in your experience in this moment from when you started today and even now. Just noticing with curiosity and no judgment, And at this time, I'd love to see if anyone would like to share an intention they have or anything about their experience. I'd invite anyone that wants to speak or share now to share if you feel called.
Hi, Sand.
Hi.
Hi. I would say that what I'm feeling the most right now is general confusion, mainly because the authorities that we're listening to seem to be contradictory information about what's going on and what's actually happening just is extremely confusing. So I feel like it's hard to trust, the information that we're getting. And it just sort of feels like, we're in a dangerous situation, but we're not 100% sure what to do except for sitting home.
Yeah, totally. I mean, what I'm getting from that is that there's a sense of powerlessness and anxiety that comes from powerlessness when we feel like we have a lack of direction and we're sitting with a tremendous amount of uncertainty, and how much that can actually trigger in our nervous system. Uncertainty and the unknown in general is scary for us humans, right? So I think that probably most of us on here can really connect with your experience of what should we do, and not having clear guidance and direction, and the anxiety and the stress that can cause in our system.
Right. Exactly. Right now I think we're we're told 14 days is the sort of incubation period. So if we sit at home, how long is this going to go on? How long do we have to, isolate, social distance, etc. So, yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine that a lot of us can really resonate with that like sense of frustration and not knowing what to do and how to move forward, and which is why I think that, practices that support us in learning how to move energy effectively and actually work with stress that's arising and gives us the tools and resources so that we have a greater capacity to sit in the unknown but still know how to take care of ourselves can be really, powerful. Like having a self-care practice and practices that we do every day that support us in coming back to that sense of homeostasis and regulation. And that's definitely part of the reason why I felt inspired to create this space, for us to all connect and also share in resources. And I'm noticing that my light is a little dark, so I'm going to just turn up my light a little bit so that you can see me a little bit better. So I'm just going to. How's that? Can you see me better now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because the lighting, I'm kind of backlit right now, but I want you to see me. Yeah, cool. Anyone else have anything to share or add to that, and even like a desire for what you'd like to receive? Like, I'm totally here to be of service, and like I love that we're all gathering today. So is there anything that anyone would really desire and love to receive today after our time together?
I'd like to add one thing that's not necessarily answering your question,
Okay.
but going back to the little exercise that we just did, because I have been a wreck largely throughout this period, and just those few minutes that we did that, I definitely really felt a benefit to that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Can you do it constantly?
It's like, couldn't we just like all just meditate? Like, I wonder how the world would transform if we just sat in meditation for 24/7. Like,
there you go.
Like
consciousness and
right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like how quickly would the consciousness transform? What would we heal, like in terms of global warming and sickness and hunger and pain and the world? It's really amazing and beautiful. I'm glad that felt resourcing for you. If you hear my cat in the background, I just want to presence that she's wanting to play right now. That's what she regulates. So
We don't hear it.
Okay, awesome. I just hear it. So I'd love to just talk about, and there'll be more opportunities to speak and connect, and even some room and time for like live coaching or mentorship at the end as well. I want to get as much experiential in as possible, so that we have as much resourcing in our system available to us as possible. So I just want to talk about the collective nervous system. Like, I think during times like these, we realize how deeply interconnected we are, and we're all having very I would say a very shared experience of feeling, the sense of paralysis and the unknown and uncertainty and what do we do from here? And I think during times like these, collective trauma can be really activated. And I would say that trauma can have many different definitions, and it's not just like a horrific experience. It could be a bee sting, and we all basically have a different way of orienting around trauma. So trauma for one person, an experience of trauma for one person could be completely different for another person. But simultaneously in this moment, I think we're all having this shared experience of trauma, this very traumatic event that's happening where there are people dying globally, local governments don't know what to do. There's all this misinformation, and at the base, it's traumatizing a little bit for all of us. And, I would say that, like, how do we deal with this collective fear and stress and then still stay anchored in connection with ourselves without taking the collective mayhem on? This is a question that I've really been, I would say, holding lately, because we have a responsibility for our own regulation, right? And there is a quality of, when there's collective mayhem going on, it's going to be just a lot more easy for us to be taking on energy and emotions of other people when we don't have the proper resources to stay grounded and anchored and in connection with ourselves, at the same time. So, I would say that when we're going through a time of great stress and crisis and chaos, it can be a lot more challenging to differentiate between our inner experience and what's happening externally. And I don't know, I'm a highly sensitive empath. I feel things very intensely. I'm highly psychic and intuitive. I feel like I'm often, and have been my entire life, a vacuum for other people's emotions and experiences. And it's through deep embodiment practice and mindfulness and meditation and grounding work and my own, deep healing work and therapy that I've learned to have my own parameters of understanding how best to take care of myself and my own unique nervous system. But a lot of us don't have tools or access to that, or haven't even had the luxury to be able to commit and devote, that much time to the development of that understanding. So when we're in the, fight or flight response, it's going to be a lot more challenging to be able to be in that deeper level of discernment. And yeah, I'm seeing a comment over here. I'm not sure what's mine and what the collective, what's the collectives right now. And I think that's like a really common experience. It's like, what's mine, what's other people's, where does my fear and the entire world's fear begin and end? And how do I begin to differentiate that? And it can be really, really challenging as highly, sensitive, empathic beings. And I'm just tuning into the comments here again. I love this. My intention is to be able to allow both fear and faith in this virus. And as soon as I go into fear around it, I start to judge the fear. And I also want to be able to work on turning more towards trust, faith, and resilience upon a higher source. Beautiful. Somatic experiencing traumatic practitioner. Yeah. So a lot of us that are sensitive are going to be feeling this really intensely, and I would say that the majority of us are, highly sensitive. So I'd love to go into some resourcing that I find to be really supportive and some experiential exercises. And I'm curious if anyone has anything to share or has any questions or anything to add at this point. And before I do that, I just want to make sure my internet's going in and out, probably because everyone's using it. So I just want to make sure this connection is stable. So just give me 1 second. Okay, can everyone, is my internet connection? Okay, great, awesome, cool. Thanks for bearing with me. So does anyone have anything to add right now about their experience, highly sensitive, empathic? Yeah, Ebony's saying, I think our fear can be heightened by the fear of others, and it's important to focus on what we can control and our own self-care, nurturing ourselves, limiting media, relying on credible sources, and supporting each other like what we're doing now. I love that. These are like beautiful examples of resourcing. And Joyce says, turning off the news and surrounding myself in nature. I love that too. And if you can't go outside, plants are really great too. So I love having my plant friends, like, I've been fighting something off, and I've just, for the safety of others, been staying inside because I haven't known what I have. And I'm like, okay, I have my plant friends and I have my cat. Animals can be really helpful and supportive during times like these, to support us in resourcing with nature, not necessarily collective energy. Beautiful. So I don't know how many of you know about like our fight or flight response, but I do a lot of work with people around like nervous system regulation, and I love nerding out on neurobiology and understanding the way our mind, body, spirit is interconnected and whatnot. So I would say that when we're going through something like this, when we're experiencing such individual and collective stress, we're going to be in a state of survival response. And on a very real level, so many people's survival are being threatened right now in terms of not being able to work, not being able to have like childcare, at risk for being sick. There's like our core level of survival is being threatened at the deepest level right now. And so I just want to normalize that and say it makes sense why we're all feeling so scared and why everyone is feeling scared right now. And when we're in that state of survival mode and fight or flight, that like sympathetic arousal, it's going to actually have a tremendous impact on our physiology. It's like the more stressed out and more afraid we are, the more we're going to actually decrease our immune system functionality because we have so much stress, and stress hormone moving through our system. And when we're in that state of survival, it actually impacts our ability to think and reason as clearly because it cuts off our higher executive functioning. And this is like one of the dangers, I would say, of pandemic consciousness, and why it's dangerous to a certain extent to get wrapped up in the chaos, externally, not have that sense of internal resourcing. So today, my hope is we're going to lean into some more tools and resources so that you have some quick ways to down-regulate your own personal nervous system and be able to understand when you're in activation. Like fight or flight is like all your physiology is online and basically ramping up to run from any danger that it might be perceiving. But what we want is to nurture the parasympathetic nervous system, like a healthy response, and our rest and digest. Yeah, totally. Yeah, nerding out a bit. Yeah, I'm definitely nerding out a little bit right now. So does anyone have any questions? Because I know that I can have a tendency towards like, nerding out maybe a little too much. And is there anything that anyone didn't understand about what I just said or wants a little bit more explanation around? Okay, great. So I'd love to do some exercises today that are going to help us to find our own internal, sense of internal resource system. So the first one that I'd like to do is called like a slowing down nervous system, regulation technique. Because if we can't really slow down our pace, in this modern world, we're usually moving at a way rapid pace all the time. We're always on the go. So this can be good for any time besides even like a pandemic time. So I would love to invite you to move into a comfortable posture and just noticing what it's like to allow yourself to move back to your own space and awareness after taking in all of that information. And I just want you in this moment to feel what it's like to allow yourself to move your awareness back inside. And by inside, I mean in connection with your inner world here. So I just want you to begin to notice the in and outflow of your breath, without needing to do anything to fix or change your experience in this moment. And I want you to just begin to notice any sensations that might be arising for you in your physical body. Any thoughts or feelings that might be existing in the periphery of your consciousness. And seeing what it's like to actually welcome all of yourself here in this moment, all parts of your experience. And noticing what it's like to actually begin to deepen your breath here. So deepening that rhythm of the inhale and exhale. And I see that some people are moving, in this moment. So if movement feels good for you in this moment, I want to invite you to, move. If that's regulating and resourcing for you. And in this moment, I just want you to really feel your own sense of pacing. And really feeling what your inner pace is like in this moment. Are you moving at a faster inner pace? Do things feel like they're like buzzing? Or almost like you're on caffeine? Do you feel like you're moving at a slower pace? Like you're feeling a little bit more exhausted or heavy? Or do you feel like you're a combination of both? You might be feeling a combination of both fast and slow. Just noticing your internal pace without needing to do anything to fix or change your experience. And allowing yourself, embracing yourself exactly where you are to begin to bring your awareness back to your breath. So seeing with each inhale and exhale that you take in, if you can allow yourself to begin to deepen and extend your inhale and your exhale. Allowing yourself to take in more air. Slowly expanding your chest with the air that you're taking in. And then slowly releasing your exhale. Seeing if you can allow that air to just move out bit by bit and not all at once. And on your next inhale, allowing your breath to begin to extend to your chest. Not only expand your chest, but actually move into the lower part of your belly. Allowing that long, expansive, rolling, oceanic inhale and exhale. As if it was a calm ocean day. And your breath was the wave that was just rolling gently up onto the shore. And then rolling back into the expansiveness of the ocean. Seeing what it's like to move in synergy and in connection with the flow of your breath in this way. This long, expansive, rolling, oceanic inhale and exhale. Noticing what begins to happen in your body as you begin to take up more space. As your body is physically expanding and growing more with each deep inhale and exhale that you take in. And while you continue this slow rolling oceanic inhale and exhale, I want you to bring your attention to your right foot. Seeing if you can sense the palm of your foot and where the air kisses it. And on your next inhale, I want you to slowly pick up your right foot and flex and point it. And then slowly, at the exact pace that feels good for you, put it back down. And on your next inhale, slowly picking up your right foot. And then pointing it and slowly putting it back down. And then one more time, slowly picking up your right foot. Flexing and pointing it and putting it back down. Just noticing what it's like to have your foot at rest in this moment. Noticing with curiosity anything that's shifted or changed in your experience. And then slowly, at the exact pace that feels good for you, allowing your awareness to move to your left foot. And on your next inhale, slowly picking up your left foot, flexing and pointing it, and then putting it back down. Slowly picking up your left foot, pointing it, flexing it, and putting it back down. And on your next beautiful, expansive inhale, one last time, slowly picking up your foot, pointing and flexing it, and then placing it back down. And just noticing what it's like to have your left foot at rest. And in this moment, I just want you to take a snapshot of your inside experience right now and see where your own internal pacing is right now. And see if there's a shift from where we started this exercise, and noticing if anything has shifted or changed in your experience now in this present moment. And slowly, at the exact pace, that exact exquisite pace that completely honors who you are, allowing yourself to come back into intimacy with this present here and now moment. Allowing life and movement to begin coming back to your body. And as you open your eyes, I want you to see what it's like to actually stay internal with your own sense of awareness and your own body and pace. Because these are the things that actually support us in anchoring in connection and staying in connection with ourselves. Having a sense of body and somatic awareness. Having a sense of our own internal ground and the exact exquisite pace that our body needs to move in order to stay in connection and in presence with ourselves. And even just, picking up your foot and pointing at the subtle movement can actually help us attune to the exact pace that feels good for us and help us notice if we're not actually in alignment with that pace. So at this time, I'd love to invite anyone that feels called to share or has any questions or comments to speak or type as they see fit. Anything that you notice about your experience, if you found that to be helpful. If you didn't find it to be helpful, really everything is welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I feel much more regulated and grounded after that experience. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Anyone else? Anything else that you notice?
Can you hear me? Oh, you can go, love. Go first.
I was just noticing when we did that first kind of connect with self exercise, I felt really calm. And after this one, I actually noticed that I feel more energized.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thanks, Amber. Yeah, I love hearing that, and I actually feel more energized too. And it's amazing what happens when we come up into self-connection, and it actually discharges energy, and we nurture our inner ecosystem and nervous system. How much energy comes back to us in those moments.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, it's really good. Thank you.
That's why I love nerding out on all of it. Anaya, you had something to share?
Yeah, so I woke up this morning and I could just feel a knot in my solar plexus. So I was doing some work with that. And I noticed it again while you were having us just like drop into what's present and our inside. And yeah, during it, I just like had tears streaming, and there just felt like a really big release. I have ideas of it not being directly connected to the coronavirus, but other things that are going on in my life. But it's probably a combination of it all. And it just felt good to feel, because I recognize like I'm going through this process, and it's so easy to put things to the side. And as always, when we just create the space, no matter if it's corona or other stressful things going on in our life, it's like it allows what's there to be seen. And so thank you for holding that space, and felt good to release.
Thank you for sharing, sister. Beautiful. Yeah. And I would just say that it's really common when we're all going through something like this to not only feel the collective trauma, but to have our own kind of hardship and emotions and trauma also get triggered from it, and then have trouble discerning what is what, at the same time. And that's why I find it like so important to create this space, for self-connection, permission to really augment our self-care practices, and also get support in all the ways that we need so that we can navigate this as skillfully as possible, because sometimes we don't know what's being triggered, and there's so many layers that can be triggered from an event, a cataclysmic event, and chaos in this way. And I'm seeing that Mark says, I feel deeply grounded, present, and connected. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful. I'm glad to hear that. Does anyone else have anything to share? Comments, questions? There'll be time later. I'm like, I could just do this all day. We should just stay on all day and do resourcing together. So I'd love to also touch on something that I found to be helpful in terms of energetic boundaries. So just to kind of do a little bit of a recap, we've done an exercise, like a basic body contact meditation to help us connect in with what's happening and present for us. That's kind of been included in each exercise that we've done. But I think this is really important to create space just to connect in with ourselves, noticing what's happening, doing like a basic body scan that can really help us to tune into our own inner ecosystem and our field and be present to what's happening without trying to fix or change our experience. I found that, and even for myself, it's like when I'm feeling a lot, I immediately want to do something to fix it or to distance myself from the feeling. And I found that, through my own personal practice, and I don't know, I think it's like 18 years of meditation practice at this point, that it can be really, really powerful to just be with what is. And that can be the hardest practice, surrendering and being with what is without needing to do anything to fix anything. And the spaciousness that can come when we're not doing anything to fix or change anything. So that's one practice that we've done today that I think is really, really potent and helpful. Just being with what is, welcoming, connecting with the body, and seeing how deeply you can invite your sensations, your thoughts, your feelings, your subtle energetic sensing and collective sensing, how deeply can you just invite it to the forefront here and find that sense of home within yourself. The second thing that we've done is a slowing down and resourcing meditation. So it's how do I begin to connect in and attune to the exact pace that feels good for me, but also acknowledge the pace that I'm moving at, and if I'm moving at a different pace that I want to be moving. So that slowing down meditation and extending the breath, that really helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and our homeostasis and rest and digest response, so that we can come back into a state of rest and repair. So that slowing down meditation is something that I think can be really, really powerful to do, and to just track and notice your internal pace. And if you're moving faster than you want to move, then create the invitation for yourself to actually slow down. And then the third exercise that I'd like to go over and just talk a little bit about with you are the importance of energetic boundaries. And I think that we've had some discussion, especially from people in the audience, that resonate with being more highly sensitive. And even if you don't necessarily resonate with being more highly sensitive, during times like these, it can be really hard to discern between our own inner and outer experience, right? It's like, what's mine, what's theirs? So I've found the practice and cultivation of energetic boundaries, which is a visualization practice, but also like a somatic practice. It really supports us in staying in connection with our own needs and desires, and attuned to the inner wisdom to best know how to take care of ourselves in any given moment. So, what I visualize an energetic boundary is a sense of ground, and it's also a sense of containment in myself. So it actually feels like a physical boundary. I'm not trying to shut anything out, but I'm trying to provide a space of containment and protection, for myself, so that I can stay in connection with myself, at the same time. So I found this energetic boundary practice to be really supportive to that, and it's a guided visualization and a tool that you can use at any time. And I remember doing this for the first time when I was like a teenager and something, and it's something I've used for many, many years that is like really, really helpful. So I would invite you just once again to come back to a space of ground in yourself in this moment, and just to find a comfortable and place to sit and a comfortable posture to come back to in this moment, because we're going to go internal again for a few more moments. And if you need a drink of water or need to make any adjustments or movements in this moment, I would invite you to do that now. So I just want you to begin by feeling what it's like to start to come home to yourself in this moment. We've been exploring a lot around what it feels like to find inner home within ourselves, no matter what's happening externally. So just taking a few moments to allow your eyes to begin to soften and even flutter shut if that feels good for you in this moment. And feel what it's like to come back into intimacy with your own internal world in this here and now moment. Allowing yourself to begin to pay attention to the in and out flow of your breath. Allowing any movements or micro movements that are wanting to happen, the space and permission to be here. And allowing your awareness to begin to move and acknowledge any thoughts that might be in the periphery of your consciousness, feelings that might be present, and then physical sensations that might be here for you right now. Seeing how fully and deeply you can welcome all of yourself here in this moment. What does it feel like to be in intimacy with your own internal ground, with your own inner ecosystem and energy? Allowing your awareness to begin to move with your in and out breath as you'll begin to allow your breath to deepen and expand. Allowing yourself to come back to that visualization of that slow rolling oceanic wave, as if your inhale is a soft ocean wave rolling up slowly and exquisitely onto the shore. And your exhale is that beautiful wave rolling back slowly, inch by inch, into the fullness of the ocean. Noticing where your breath stops and maybe inviting that breath to expand even more fully and deeply. What is it like to allow yourself the space and permission to take up more space? Feeling yourself physically expand as your breath expands. And allowing your awareness to begin to move towards the crown of your head, feeling a gentle warmth and softening blooming there. Visualizing and feeling this beautiful, cleansing, nourishing light from source begin to flow from source through the crown of your head and through the central channel of your body. Feeling this cleansing, beautiful, warm, nurturing light, this warm, nurturing gold and white light, just flowing like a beautiful river from source directly through the crown of your head, through the central channel of your body, and then pouring out through your feet. Feeling yourself connect in. With the infinite source. And this healing river of light. And noticing with each inhale and exhale that you take in as you stay in alignment and flow with your inhale and exhale. Each inhale that you take in, you draw this light more deeply and fully into your body and your energy fields. Allowing this light to go exactly where it's needed for your deepest healing and to be in support to your highest expression and essence. And allowing your awareness to move to the epicenter of your heart, feeling a gentle warmth beginning to bloom there. Seeing a beautiful flame flickering within the center of the core of your heart. breathing warmth and light and energy into your body just by simply being there. And with each inhale and exhale that you take in, this flickering flame in your heart begins to expand and grow, growing in strength and intensity. A gentle and fiercely loving light. Noticing with each inhale and exhale that you take in, this light continues to grow and expand, blooming in warmth and strength and power. Feeling it expand from the epicenter of the core of your heart, being fed by that river of light from source, and beginning to stretch out through your organ systems, rippling out with each inhale and exhale that you take in, until it stretches so far that it's right beyond the periphery of your outer layer of skin. Feeling the deep core of your own inner light and strength and power here, and your divine connection to the source and light of all that you are. Feeling what it's like to allow yourself to stretch and expand, taking up more space physically and energetically as all that does not serve you is pushed out by this powerful, cleansing, purifying light and returned whole and healed to its source. Affirming that anything that is not in support to your high service and expression can exist within this sacred space. And all that does not belong to you energetically, psychically, physically, emotionally, mentally is returned whole and healed to its source, purified by the light of the divine. Closing all doors in space and time between you and any of these other energies, and triple locking those doors in space and time, going backwards and forwards throughout all timelines and dimensions. And allowing and visualizing anything else that isn't serving you, just pouring in to the heart light of the earth to be purified and recycled for the highest good of all. Feeling grounding cords beginning to grow out of the root of your spine and root chakra. And feeling and seeing these roots of light beginning to stretch down through layers of earth and rock, layer by layer, and rooting deeply and anchoring deeply into the core of the earth. Feeling what it's like to be rooted and expanded at the same time. This quality of rooted expanse. And allowing yourself in this moment to recall any energy or power that you've given away, and asking that it be returned whole and healed and purified by the light of the divine. Allowing yourself to rest in the power and the ground and the light of all that you are. giving thanks that this work is done. And at your own pace, at the exact pace and time that feels good for you, allowing yourself to come back into intimacy with this present here and now moment. Allowing life and breath to begin to ignite in your body again, making any subtle shifts and movements. And noticing how you feel in this here and now moment. If anything has shifted or changed in your experience, and what do you feel present to now? And I would invite anyone that feels called to kind of share anything that might be arising for them in this here and now moment, time and space to share anything that you notice that was helpful, if it wasn't helpful. All is welcome.
I just want to say that was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was really good.
Good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. If anyone doesn't know, Margie and Tom, they're my parents. So hi to my mom and dad.
Hi, Sam.
And my uncle here too. It's like a family affair. This is great. Does anyone feel called to share anything else that you might be experiencing? I see.
Yeah, this is Violet.
Oh, hey, Violet.
Hi. It's a little bit of a family affair for me too, because my grandmother is on the line, and so is one of my best friends, Anaya.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I laid down for that one on my back and kind of like drifted into this like liminal space between consciousness and rest, and I just like really slipped into a deeper state of relaxation that was so nourishing for my system, because I woke up in like total fight or flight this morning.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm in Costa Rica right now.
Oh, wow.
And I'm from the US, so I'm really like at this choice point of where to place myself for what could be an unpredictable amount of time. And so yeah, I'm really appreciating these exercises for the invitation to drop into a deeper state of trust, so that I can make those choices and magnetize what is aligned for me from that space of trust and certainty in the uncertainty. Because what is certain is connection to spirit and connection to abundance and unconditional loving support from the earth and from community. And that is what I'm choosing to vibrate from within the core of my being. So thanks for the support in reaching that space.
Thank you. I'm like drinking in your words, Violet. They're so nourishing. It's so beautiful. I just like love your reflections, and I can also understand how scary it might be to be like far from home, and then, like with everything that's happening. And I also want to say I've heard Costa Rica is a really beautiful place, so not a bad place to be. Right now, I would not be in Costa Rica right now. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I definitely feel a little bit safer here with how much like nature isolation there is, and like non-necessity to go into like public spaces, and like it doesn't thrive in hot climates. So I feel very
I feel very grateful to be here, and I feel like I'm meant to stay here, and I'm just really calling in like the clarity on how to do that in the best way.
Beautiful. Well, I'm totally hearing and affirming those intentions and in support of that. And I'm really, happy that these exercises and this field is really nurturing to you, connecting in so that you can totally align with those visions and
Thank you.
next steps. Yeah, totally. Thank you for being here. And I hear from Lynetta. I feel awesome. Awesome, Lynetta. Hi. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. You look very comfy right now.
I was just like laying down, and my meditation practice has really helped me to go very deep. So I'm very suggestible. So, and you started, it was like, and this is perfect for me because I'm empathic, very sensitive, and pick everything up. And sometimes, I don't even know if it's my feeling or if it's somebody else's feeling that I'm feeling, So it really helped me. I kind of saw it as I like the image of the toroid, it's like the apple in the middle and the energy running around like this. And I created that my field is just really strong, high vibration of love and light and joy and play and all that vibrant energy that feels so good, and just flooded my body and my being with that light. And in that space, I could feel there's no room for anything negativity or anything that depletes my energy or other people's fears, because that's the biggest of what's coming up. Everywhere you go, you can sense and feel the fear from people. Yeah. And I'm just gonna keep running that energy. Anytime I feel other people's energy, I can just run that. And that meditation helped ground that in. Thank you.
Good. I'm so glad. Yeah, I just, beautiful. Thank you, Lynetta. Yeah. I feel really nourished by your description of that. It was almost like medicine for me, hearing like the torrid of light and the expansive. And I love the point that you bring up just in terms of the more anchored we are in our own field of light, the less that we'll take on of anyone's energy, anything that's going on an exterior level. And the more that we commit and are in devotion to this practice of maintaining our own inner ecosystem and field, the more that we can stay anchored in our inner home. And then things just pass through us as opposed to, courting or attaching to us or taking it on, at the same time. So that this has been a powerful practice for me, and I'm really glad that it was helpful to you too.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
I'm so honored that you're here. Beautiful. Does anyone else have anything to share or say?
Hey, Sam.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about how you detect what's coming from outside of you. I mean, I'm not as empathic as the last speaker. So I'm just wondering what sort of tricks of the trade or tips do you have to discern between what you're feeling that's coming from inside of you versus picking up on the external feelings of other people?
It's a great question. And, something that I like to do is in the moment when I'm not sure, do a basic anchoring and grounding meditation and, come back to my own sense of inner home and begin to kind of feel like the textures of, okay, well, what are my sensations right now? Anything that's going to differentiate, me from what's happening outside. It's like, okay, my back is hurting right now. It's like, that's my sensation. You know what I mean? So anything that's going to anchor into your own sense of you, or getting a felt sense of your own body, even allowing your awareness to expand to inhabit your body sense, will give you more of a ground to discern, like, oh, this wave of emotion just came in and it's not mine. Usually when I experience something that isn't mine, it feels like it's coming from the outside as opposed to the inside. So the more inside I become, the more that I can detect what's happening or occurring externally, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, partially. During all three of the meditation exercises, and this was, maybe my own particular imagination, is I kind of sense myself, the boundaries of where I feel my body, but then I can kind of hear some sounds from the outside. And then sort of beyond that in my awareness, that's like the, outside of my bubble. So I don't know if that's just an imagination thing that I'm doing, or if there actually is that sense of being like at the edges of your own awareness, like actually picking up on this is all me, and then that's out there.
Obviously, yeah, and it's a great question. It's something that I'm obviously always deepening into because it's complex. It's like, what's mine, what's outside? Because we're a shared collective ecosystem, right? But I have found through my own practice that I have my own sense of internal experience that's happening. And the more that I ground and connect with that, it's like we all have access to our own sense of inner awareness and ground. And then there's the larger outer awareness. So as we begin to practice tools and resources like this, we begin to be able to discern between that inner and outer awareness. And something that I like to guide, my clients through, and just as a part of my own personal practice, is titrating between inner, outer, and awareness. So it's, if you're not sure, can you move inward and feel what that's like? And then can you feel what outside feels like? And can you begin to play with that discernment muscle of what's coming from where? Like I can feel, if I project my awareness into the exterior ecosystem, that there's a lot of activation. But with myself right now, I actually feel pretty regulated, right? And I feel connected to myself, but I'm sensing something that's outside. So it's like, as we practice, we begin to develop this kind of subtle muscle memory for that, if that makes sense.
Yep. Very much so.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions around anything around that? Okay. And that being said, I kind of want to just finish with this like a little exercise that will help to integrate that. So, and this is going to be shorter. It's not going to be like a 15-minute, long. It'll be like just a few minutes. So I call this like an inner and outer titration exercise, and this helps us to kind of develop a baseline of what it feels like to connect with our inner space, and then expand our connection, and then the entire world, and have a differentiation point between all of those different aspects of our consciousness, awareness, and experience. So I would invite you to come back into intimacy with what it feels like to be connected to yourself internally in this moment. And just noticing what it's like after having your awareness outward or external for the past 10 minutes or so. Just noticing what it's like to come back to yourself now. And see if you can feel the difference as you begin to allow your awareness to move to any physical sensations that might be present for you. Noticing the temperature of the air. If it's warm, cold, neutral, or somewhere in between. Noticing the inhale and exhale of your breath. Noticing any thoughts or feelings that might be existing in the periphery of your consciousness. And feeling what it's like to create radical permission to welcome and invite everything that is here in your inner experience to be here. Seeing if you can begin to lean into your own sense of internal ground. Feeling the resonance and vibration of your inner ecosystem. Really getting a felt sense of what inner home feels like. To be anchored into the ground of all that you are. Feeling yourself stretch and expand to take up space in your own body and energy field. Maybe even recalling that sense of energetic boundary and that light around you, emanating from the core of your being. And that flow of light from source. Seeing if you can allow yourself to open and maintain your connection to that. And as you allow yourself to stay in connection with your inner space here, and while still staying inside with your eyes closed and in connection with yourself, really feeling that anchored sense to your own inner core, allow yourself to begin to expand your awareness to include those that are in the circle with us here. All 23 of us that are here together right now. Seeing if you can still stay in connection with yourself and also maintain awareness of the other energies that are here with you. Together here. So just noticing what it's like to actually hold both in this moment. Your inner space and your awareness of those that are with us right now. And then I want you to just let that go. Coming back to your inner space again. Feeling what it's like to reground into your own sensations and energy. Your own physical body structure. Feeling the resonance of your own thoughts and feelings and awareness. And the in and out flow of your breath. Feeling your own sense of rooted ground and your connection to the earth, where your grounding cords of light actually plug in and root to the earth. And from this place of grounded, anchored connection, allowing yourself to open your awareness to the people that are in this circle with us. And then seeing if you can expand a layer further to include the collective and the earth in its entirety. Still staying in connection with your rooted sense of ground and your inner core. It may even help in this moment if you are having trouble staying anchored and in awareness to these other layers, to put a hand on your belly or your heart and actually feel what it's like to make contact and maintain contact with yourself. Feeling that differentiation point between your own inner experience the people in the circle and the world. Seeing if you can shift and move your awareness through these different layers. Really getting a sense of what it feels like, and also how to maintain connection with your own inner ground here. And then I want you to let that go and shake that off. Allowing any energy that you might have picked up to return whole and healed to its source. And allowing yourself to come back to your own inner ecosystem and your own sense of internal ground, and noticing what it feels like to be in connection with yourself and your own inner ground here. Allowing yourself to connect with that visualization of that beautiful blooming light from source, that golden white light that's slowly streaming down from the source of all that is, through the crown of your head, bringing light and warmth and nurturing to exactly where it's needed. Allowing yourself to connect with the in and out flow of your breath once more. Connecting with that visualization and that deep sense of that rolling ocean wave. As you inhale, that rolling ocean wave gently rolls up onto the shore. And then on your exhale, allowing that beautiful rolling ocean wave to flow back into the expanse of the ocean. Allowing your breath to expand not only your chest, but to roll deeply into the lower part of your belly. Feeling the weight of your hips and your lower back and the lower triangle of your body. And the ground of the earth beneath you. And allowing yourself once more to send out those grounding cords of light from the base of your spine and root chakra. With each inhale and exhale that you take in, those roots of light stretch and expand from the base of your spine, flowing through the first layer of earth and through many layers of earth and rock until they reach the core of the heart of the earth, while still maintaining an opening and connection to receiving that divine light from source, that flowing, nurturing light. And really feeling what it's like to be grounded in rooted expanse in connection with your own inner ecosystem. Feeling the energetic and physical boundary of your field and the way that you are stretching and taking up space energetically and physically in this moment. Feeling the core of your own ground and inner power and light. And asking that any energy, any residual energy that's here that is not serving you, is returned whole and healed and purified by the light of the divine to its source. Asking that all doors in space and time, timelines, dimensions, and portals now be closed between you and on the work that was done, and triple locking those doors in space and time, timelines, dimensions, and portals. Moving back into intimacy with the eternal ground of all that you are and the light that all you are. And then in your own space and time, allowing yourself to come back into intimacy with this here and now moment. Allowing breath and life to begin to awaken in your body and being. Moving at the exact, exquisite pace that feels good for you. Noticing how you're feeling in this moment and how that was for you. If anything has shifted and changed in your experience. And what it's like to be present with yourself here and now in this moment. And I'd invite anyone that feels called to share, has any comments and questions. I know we're at 12:30 now, but I'm totally happy to stay on for a little while longer and open it up for comments, conversation, integrations, anything that wants to be shared or expressed now.
Well, I can add that I feel a ton better now than I did when I first sat down. So thanks for that. We'd like to import you.
You gotta import me.
Yeah.
I'll come visit soon, don't worry.
No, you won't. Oh, no, you're not getting on an airplane right now.
Love you.
Love you too.
That was great, Sam.
Great.
Thank you.
I'm glad that it was helpful. I'd love to open it up for any comments, questions. Hey, Alexa. Hi. Another lovely friend here too. Yeah, and does anyone feel called to share about anything that's happening for them in this moment, or want any further support on anything that's coming up right now? Any practices that you yourself do that you would like to share that you find to be helpful for you and regulating for you during this time that we could all benefit from? I see that someone said it's very generous and very supportive and still feel grief coming in and out of the fear. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and what I would say is that, the practice is to notice when our emotions are coming up and be present with our experience and allow them to flow through us instead of avoid them. So that's, I haven't found any other better way of working with stress and overwhelm than actually moving towards our experience and actually inviting everything that's here. But also, like Lynetta was, saying earlier, doing these practices on a daily basis and supporting ourselves in nervous system regulation and anchoring into our inner light makes us maybe not impervious, but it basically strengthens and emboldens, our inner field and our inner architecture so that we're not taking on collective mayhem, and that we can stay really with ourselves and present to ourselves and to those that we love without abandoning ourselves. So these are some tools and skills that you can use on a daily basis. I have audio recordings of 2 of the meditations, and maybe I'll do recordings of the 2 other ones that we did, and I'm happy to send them out to all of you so that you can practice them on your own as well. So anyone that's interested, you signed up on the email list as well, but I can send it out to you, too. Awesome, Amber. And Mark says, I sense and feel that we're creating a ripple through the planet of deep internal peace, love, and healing. Oh, I love that, Mark. That's really, really beautiful. Yeah. And I don't know if that's Lynette or Mark or both of you, but thank you to both of you. Oh, this is Lynette. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the many powerful things, that can occur, when we gather in group with intention and mindfulness and awareness, and we actually create, a space of like deep peace and energized awareness and healing, and the ripple effect that can have on the collective. So I feel called to just do this a lot. I was thinking about holding another event next weekend, and we can, continue to do maybe even more. Like, reach out to me and let me know. Like, I'm here to be of service. So anything, like if you want to reach out to me personally through email or even like Facebook, depending on how you got to me, please reach out and let's keep the conversation going. If you have an event, I want to know about it. I think the more that we're doing these types of events and gatherings, the better right now, to really kind of hold the collective field and grounded embodied awareness, and presence. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, beautiful. Does anyone else have anything else to share, or even want some like live support, right now?
I just want to say that I want to feel like this all the time. So I'm going to become very aware of my breathing all day. That I might not be able to control what's going on outside, but I am going to connect more with my breathing.
Yeah.
So that I can continue feeling like this all the time.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much.
Oh, of course.
Also, Sandy, isn't it reasonable for us to work with the idea that if we meditate and create a cleaner and purer inner environment, that this is going to strengthen our immune system and our ability to deal individually, not just with the inner feelings we have, but the outer infection that we're exposed to?
Yeah. I love that, Steve. And I think that's, huge wisdom, for times like these. It's the more we tend to nurture our inner ecosystem, the less that we're going to actually allow stress response to proliferate, and the more nervous system regulation we have, the less that we take on. So when we do these practices, it actually stimulates our immune system response. And there's a whole field, if you want to nerd out, called psychoneural immunology, and I know that you're aware of that, but for anyone that doesn't know, that it's a really fascinating field. But everything is so interconnected, so that the more that we tend to our inner ecosystem, the more physiologically positive impact we will have on our own bodies. So this is like one of the best immune boosters, meditating every day and doing self-regulation and self-inner work that I've found, especially having had a history of chronic illness and pain and all of that. And these are the practices that have gotten me through, and I know that many of you can also attest to that as well. So yeah, I thank you. Is there anything else that anyone feels called to share?
We're just wondering if Steve has any more words of wisdom on that.
Yeah, please.
Being that he is a doctor.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, we have two, at least two.
We have two doctors here today.
There's two MDs here.
Yeah, how cool.
Laura, I want to say something too.
Well, it's just part of ancient wisdom that a healthy mind and a healthy body go on together, and the inner purity we try to maintain adds health to the body, and the social isolation, the purity we're trying to maintain in our physical environment also has a positive effect on our mind. They work together. It's all question of magnetism. I think that word was used before. We think in a certain way, we feel in a certain way, and we attract the highest aspects of nature to us. And of course, if we think in another way, we can attract the lowest. So it's just a question of where we place our affinities. So
Beautiful.
another doctor calling. So
Another doctor calling.
Yeah. So just that idea, not my own wisdom, but certainly ancient wisdom, accumulated wisdom.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Does the other doctor have anything to share? No? Okay. Oh, wait, here, I'll unmute you. Here, do you want to say something?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that this was a very relaxing and invigorating experience, but it doesn't replace having you here.
I'm feeling the love. I love you too.
I have a question, okay?
Yeah.
How would you handle a denier in your household?
A denier?
Who denies the seriousness of the situation of a danger to the others in the household?
Well, I mean, creating like space for an open conversation and just maybe being like receptive to like why are they in denial of it? Like instead of being combative, like I would suggest listening, like deeply listening to what their process is without trying to fix or change it. And then from an open space, articulate what your, what your truth is. But usually when we have a disagreement or we're in a polarization, we feel polarized with someone else, we have a tendency to argue in those places. So listening and being present without trying to fix or change the other person's opinion can be really, really helpful for that, I would say, because they probably have their own experience, and if that's feeling invalidated, that can be helpful to create spaciousness for deeper connection.
Can I add something also? I also think it's good to express, your own concerns as well, because they may not be hearing them. And if there's some way for you to be able to get the word across to them, that would be a good starting point too.
Yeah, totally.
Sandy, I have a question for you. It's Steve again.
Yeah.
And it may be first opportunity I have to hear someone in the field address this issue. I have not heard it yet on any of the media. But what do we say to children? What do we say to children who can't go to birthday parties anymore, can't go to visit their friends?
Yeah.
They don't see, hear, taste, or smell this infection. They don't understand it. What in your experience is a useful way to help children deal with this, let alone ourselves as adults?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a play therapist, for some time. So I do have experience working with children, and not just for this event, but, I would say that being as transparent and authentic about what's happening without inducing fear, like just naming what's occurring, like, and being authentic with what your experience is, because children can sense incongruence in the environment immediately. So the more that you inform without inducing, fear necessarily, but just name very clearly what's actually happening in the world and occurring, and what you are doing to kind of stay, safe and and as a family and in a community. But because kids are sensing it too, so it's like you can't lie to them. They're very sensitive, intuitive, and empathic. So the more that you can be authentic about what your experience is, And even like, I've coached parents around this. They're like, well, I can't be real with my kids. And you might just, I would tell a parent, mommy's stressed right now because there's all this happening in the world. And also we're going to do what we can to stay safe. And these are the things that we're going to do as a family, and to orient around this time together and have everyone in the family be on the same page, and stay in really clear communication about it. That's what I would say. I don't know if anyone else has any other tips, but kids know, they can sense things. So the more open and honest you are with them, the better, without, all the news headlines. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's also creating an opportunity for people, because a lot of people are not at work or going to events. Their lives are much more constricted now because they're trying to stay away from crowds, or they're, all the events are called off anyway. So in some sense, it's sort of changing everybody's life, maybe on a temporary basis, but we all have to sort of find ways to make do with what's going on, and maybe make, especially for kids, to find ways to make it fun, with mommy and daddy home, or whatever the situation, whatever the caregiver situation is, that, I would think that the parents would have to be more involved than maybe they normally are with kids during this kind of thing.
Totally.
So, we can't go to the birthday party, but we'll have our own, little celebration here, or, we'll all sing songs, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
There was I guess probably a viral video, but was going around that all these people in Italy, and how they have those balconies, like on those old buildings, and they're all standing on their balconies, away from each other, and they're all singing together on the street. Like the entire street was like singing songs with everybody standing on their balconies outside. I thought that was so heartwarming.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. And, I would just say it's like the more that parents can regulate as a family. And I actually have a sheet that has like nervous system. It kind of tells you how to track which side of the nervous system someone is in, and even a kid is in, and then like regulation activities for each, like jumping up and down, which can be like really good to help to release energy in the sympathetic side of the nervous system. So I'm happy to send that out as a resource too to anyone that wants it. But it's like familial regulation activities, like how can we as a family regulate? I think that's like really important, creating like a coherent family unit, and like these are the things that we're going to do, even inviting kids into a meditation practice and doing breath work, which even little kids can do. We have these things called mirror neurons, so it's like if you are practicing regulation, tools and activities, oh, cool, Violet. Yeah, I'm happy to send that to you. Yeah, anyone that wants that nervous system regulation sheet, post your email here, and then I'll grab it and send it out to you. But yeah, the more that you practice like self-regulation, the more other people will pick up on it around you. So it's kind of a really easy way to transform the external world, just by staying regulated, because we have mirror neurons and we're very interconnected in that way too. M says she has a quick question.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you.
There's so much we could talk about, but I don't know how to. I guess I just want to take this opportunity with you all and with these docs here. I'm a nurse, and I've been witnessing that no one's really been communicating with me about what that's like, or what it might be like in the near future, or what's really even like, is this droplet precautions or is this airborne precautions, and why do we keep hearing different things? And it's not like I'm expecting that like there's a doctor who has all the answers, but I'm just curious, like, you know, I want to encourage people to like take the right precautions and not panic, but I feel like there hasn't been very clear, you know, as we said, clear information on that. And yeah, just wondering anyone's advice on that, and also how to like really you know, drop in and guide people to drop in more into that like inner heart flame and resilience, and to remember like how we got through all the things before. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to advise, like, obviously from a medical perspective. So any of our doctors, you know, we lost one. We lost a doctor.
His phone rang, I think.
But what I would say is that panicking isn't going to help. And the more that we can be kind of a grounding force in our communities and show up with regulation and support to the degree that we can while staying regulated, I would say is the best. You know, it's like, how can we inform people? Like, even though I'm not a doctor, I've dealt with like a lot of illness and whatnot, and it's like, so how do we take necessary precautions, take care of ourselves, follow the guidelines around not, you know, spreading illness, boost our immune systems, herbs, eat healthy food, drink lots of water, you know, like all these kind of things that we normally would do, sleep a lot, rest a lot to take care of ourselves. And simultaneously, how do we become a grounded, you know, force for other people in our community? That's like at least what I would say at the same time, holding both, you know, being smart, being selective about what we take in and on in terms of the more kind of global media and what's happening, because there's so much mixed information, and then doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves. That's what's coming up for me in answer to your question, Em.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. It just seems really silly. Like, you know, if we know anything about this virus, we should know whether it's contagious through coughing, sneezing, or just breathing air.
Yeah.
And those are two very different stories. And
Yeah.
that require, and like, even if it is contagious through just breathing air within 10 feet or whatever, like, you know, no, like a lot of people had tuberculosis, and I don't know, like and then I see people saying like, oh, this is just some control thing, like trying to keep us separate when we really need to come together, and how are we going to come together through like the internet now? And it's like
we're doing it
just a lot
right
of
now.
distraction in terms of what's actually happening. And yeah, no, I'm grateful that we're, you know, we can at least be together on a computer right now. But then it's like in the hospital, you know, people are yeah, I can't even get into it right now. But people are trying to just like do what they gotta do, and it's like, who do we trust in terms of like, you know, where's the research, and where, like, and also why is this so different than other things that have broken out and all of that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think there are a lot of big questions, and I think the, you know, best thing that we can do is obviously stay open to the information that's available, and be selective around obviously the source around like in which we receive it, and doing our inner practices so that we can stay grounded in a space of coherence and in connection with ourselves. And it's like, the more that we get caught up in the unknown around all of it, the less we're going to be in connection with ourselves, and that's only going to increase stressor in our system. So I think that, you know, at least my practice right now is going to be waking up and having a consistent meditation practice and doing grounding practices and immune boosting, and also trying to create spaces that we can all share and be present and like welcome the entirety of our experience. And it's definitely a scary time, and these are the times that we need to come together as communities to support each other as we navigate the unknown. And I'm grateful that we can all be here with one another and share information that we might find is helpful, at the same time. It's like we can all take time to help each other out while taking care of ourselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's like a balance between, both, perspectives. And anything that I can do to be of service, I'm here as well too. And I really appreciate you bringing all of that, to the forefront, because I'm sure a lot of us have been in the same deep questioning and wondering about that, right? And my biggest takeaway is like, I'm only going to be able to show up and service to other people if I myself am resourced. So what do I need to do on a daily basis to stay regulated so I'm not taking on the kind of external mayhem and chaos? Anyone else have anything to share? Like 1 o'clock here, so we went over, but anything else to share now before we close?
I'm hungry.
Cool. Well, that's good. So self-nourishment. Well, I want to say that I really appreciate everyone being here. I've heard some interest expressed in terms of doing more events. So if you're not watching this, or if you're here now or watching this later, you can reach out to let me know if this is something that you're interested in, or even tell me now. I'm thinking I'm going to organize another event for next weekend, where we can all do some deep inner work, together, create a collective field. And then I'll send an event out as well as meditations for anyone that is wanting them. And I think I'll record the other 2 exercises that we did today if you found them to be helpful. And just to let you know, I'm running, if you want any further support, I'm giving like a 30% discount off of my soul alchemy session. So if you want more deeper personal support, I'll post the discount code here. I think I made it Finding Calm. So I feel really grateful that we all got to be here with one another today, and I feel really honored that you showed up. And if you need further support, let me know, and I'm happy to dialogue. I love receiving feedback around what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I like to always improve everything that I do for everyone. So I'm very open and receptive to feedback as well. So I feel honored, grateful to be here with you all today. Please reach out if you need support. You'll find the discount code in the chat box there, Finding-Calm. And I'm sending you all my love. And I will probably be here same time next week as well, on Sunday next week doing this. So big love to everyone, and I'll see you next week, and I'll be sending out those meditations too. And it's nice to have a family affair. like my whole family is like on the top row, and like Pam and Steve and my uncle. I'm like surrounded by my family right now. It's really beautiful.
Come early, you get the good seat.
Huh?
Come early, you get the good seat.
Yeah, totally. That's a good thing. All right, everyone. Love to you all, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
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 Bye, everybody.